Welcome back to the non-league treatment room with me, Cookie. And at this point, I would usually say, as always, Davo is alongside me, but he's not tonight. We have a replacement in tonight, and it is none other than Ross Innes. Welcome.
Thank you, Cookie. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, couldn't think of anyone better to have on. You've been on the podcast a few times. Obviously, we've worked together as well when we won the league a few years ago.
Yeah.
And you've been out in Dubai, and now you're back home.
I am. And actually, I was over the moon when you invited me in, because actually, the gentleman that's going to be our guest this evening is somebody that we've kind of aspired to be, actually, more so over recent months. So incredible. Thanks for the invitation, and I'm really looking forward to this.
Well, that's a great point, that you're a manager, coach, fantastic at what you do. So this could be a really interesting conversation. I might just sit back and just watch what happens. Because
I'm going to try and delve into the mind of someone that's been hugely successful.
That's it, mate. As always, please make sure you're following us on all socials at the Non-League Treatment Room. Make sure you're liking everything we do, subscribe on YouTube, all that juicy, lovely stuff, because there's more to come as we're coming to promotion season, aren't we, really? So we're going to try and get a lot of guests on that have won leagues and get some more stories ready for your summer. So we're looking forward to that. But I think what a guest to start off with.
Super excited about this one.
Yeah, definitely. So let's get him in. Let's do it. In the treatment room tonight, we have a manager who's making waves in the non-league footballing world. He's led back-to-back promotions with Tamworth and guided a magical FA Cup run. We can't wait to talk about his journey. Please welcome Andy Peaks. Hello.
Good evening, fellas.
Thank you for coming on. How are you?
Yeah, no, looking forward to it. Yeah, really looking forward to it. Heard good things, so yeah.
That's good. We've had some of your players on.
I was just going to say, Cookie, you've probably had the whole squad on now, haven't you?
Oh, we're working our way through. You know, some of them probably need to message us back because we have reached out to them. So
I'm sure the gaffer can have a word with them.
So that's it.
I'm sure I can probably guess the ones who haven't come back to you, to be fair. Yeah.
Get the gaffer in and then we can get anyone else in. That's the way it works. But you've been mentioned quite a lot on our pods and stuff. We've done an FA Cup special when you were facing Tottenham. There's going to be so much to talk about. I think Tamworth fans and football fans in general are going to be excited to hear what you've got to say and just your journey and background in football. So Tamworth fans, if you're listening, we will get to Tamworth, but we want to delve into your past as a player and where your management started, because I think that's so important. It's such an important part to your identity and your journey. And I know Ross will definitely have a lot of questions about management and tactics, probably.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm definitely going to delve into the mind of you, Andy, because actually, just for me, selfishly, I think I aspire to do what you've achieved, and actually, we've kind of gone on similar paths in terms of whether that be coaching, assistant manager, and then managing. So I kind of want to have an understanding of how you've been successful with this. So be prepared.
That's fine.
All right?
Yeah, I'm happy for any questions.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
But we always sort of, like I said, there's going to be loads to talk about with Tamworth this season, what's happened. But do you remember like your early memories of football, where it started, kicking a ball, what clubs that you sort of joined in, that sort of early start of?
Yeah, I mean, I think originally it's kicking around in the garden with my brother, who's a couple of years younger, and parents like we all do, I suppose, and then going to school and joining in the school team. That's my early memories, to be honest, which is obviously a long time ago now. And from that, got selected for like a town boys team, which was Northampton. And then from that, Northamptonshire, like the county team. And then, like I said, Sunday teams, and eventually getting picked up, I think it's by Northampton Town, and doing apprenticeship really to jump straight into that. But yeah, to be fair, I love playing football, a bit like managing now. It's a hobby as much. I'm lucky enough to have earned money over the years doing it, but it's something that I've always done for nothing because it's my passion, really.
Can you remember that moment, Andy, being picked up from Northampton in terms of going from grassroots to what we would have then called School of Excellence, right?
To be fair, I do. I was playing for Northampton Town boys, so you got teams to watch you. So I played in the county teams, and quite often we got scouts watching. I went and done a week on trial at Luton, had a few sessions at Oxford. I went to Watford for probably a month, games, this, that and the other, and stayed down, and nothing happened. They took loads of boys to look at, and eventually it was Northampton who come in, which was probably not my first choice although I lived there, because the others were obviously bigger clubs. So it was one to fall back on. Graham Cow was the manager, so I remember him coming around the house and watched me a few times, and eventually that's where I went. How
was it when you dropped into that non-league? level?
What, after Northampton?
After Northampton, yeah.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I think when you play Northampton, you play like youth football. It's so different. I still think now when you look at not kids' games, but in certain age groups, it's not as competitive. I remember I think I was at Northampton. I went out on loan to Bedworth because one of the guys there was a coach, Jimmy Holmes, and he had stuff to do at Bedworth. So I went there and had a few games at the Oval, I think it was called. And it was a culture shock. You know, I was 16, 17, and it was not like academy football at all. It wasn't pass, move. It was like kick it a long way and you know, watch the tackles and whatever, because that was years ago and you could tackle. So it was a big change to go into non-league from that sort of thing. Yeah, absolutely.
How did you find you adapted to it? Did you adapt quickly? Did you feel like you had to adapt quickly?
I think you have to, don't you? So I had a few games there and then went back to Northampton and play. I'd played some games for the first team in sort of friendlies and stuff like that, which was a different ball game altogether. Actually remember a pre-season game playing the first team. Took me to Cambridge. They played them every year. It's quite ironic because Mum and Dad used to come to all my games, and they missed that because it was literally in the afternoon. One of the guys couldn't make it, and Graham Carr was like, "You're coming tonight." So I went to Cambridge and we played in this, and I played right back, I think, in the cup game. It finished 0-0, and it went to penalties. And obviously for me as a 16-year-old was a big thing. And we went through the team, and I think it got to about 8 or 9 all, and I was really, the goalkeeper was going to go before me, and luckily he saved the one before, so I was the only one who didn't take one.
I'm not a fan.
And I was like, whoa, that was a relief. But yeah, Mum and Dad they were gutted because they'd always planned to come. But so I did play some games for Northampton first team, although not in the league. And then when I got released from there, I went to Rushden Town pretty soon after, so I was straight in the mix of non-league football. And like you say, you just get used to it. I think non-leagues are great.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's fantastic.
It
fantastic, really. I mean, I think some people in full time would probably appreciate non-league just as much, if I'm being honest.
Can't echo that enough. And I think just going back to your playing days and going into non-league, Andy, I know we spoke about being off air a second ago about you playing right back and sweeper. Do you think those two positions help you to develop in non-league and give you a little bit of time to adapt to it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think when I went to Bedworth, I played midfield.
Okay.
Because that's what I was playing at Northampton as a kid. But that was obviously hard. It was front. I'll probably end up going to right back to give me a little bit more time, perhaps. Played at right back quite a lot, and then as my career sort of went on, I ended up playing centre back, sometimes in a 4, but more often in a 5 as a sweeper. Because I was quite quick and I could head it all right, so I wasn't never the best on the ball. I'm always the first to admit that. Technically wasn't the best, but obviously I wanted to win, showed a lot of desire, and I was quite quick, which give you a good chance. So I played a lot at sweeper and really enjoyed the pace wise. It really probably helped me because I was quick.
I'm just thinking about the level, and you were saying earlier, back in those days, it's just turned balls over, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Thankfully, you must have had somebody in front of you who was kind of heading everything away when you was doing the sweeping.
And at the start of them days, and going back a long way, you could actually pass back to your goalkeeper and they could
pick
it up. So it was an easy.
We
used to say at Diamonds, there was a good crowd there, and the big centre half at the time was John Flair, and he'd go and smash everything, and then the ball would roll back to me, and I'd just tidy up, and everyone would clap me for tidying up, and there'd be a pile of bodies in front of me, and I'd do all the nice stuff, oh, he's playing well, and it's just easy. I'd let the two centre halves do all the nasty stuff, but yeah, I mean, I enjoyed playing there.
Yeah. I did see. I'm just going back into it now. Sorry. Just some of the teams that you play for, and I said off air again a second ago, quite local to us, like your Nuneaton towns, your Bedworths, your Rugby towns, and I'm just going back to the Nuneaton one. Was Brendan Phillips in charge?
Brendan was, yeah, the Bear, wasn't it? Yeah. I played a few games. That was when I was at Rushden.
Yeah.
Rushden Diamonds, and they were going to go full time.
Yeah.
I'd been there a long time. And they wanted to go full time, and I wouldn't go full time. And they basically wanted to get me out on loan, so I went to Nuneaton, had a few games at Nuneaton. Enjoyed it with the Bear, to be honest. Another good club. Again, I couldn't say that a couple of years ago when we were playing them at Tamworth. There's a lot of rivalry, and some of the supporters wouldn't say no. I'd play for Nuneaton, looked at me a little bit differently. But I like the rivalry. But for me, it's all about football, and I enjoyed my time there. I've not enjoyed. There's not a club I've not enjoyed being at, really.
Would you have played with Malcolm Christie around that time?
Yeah, I think I did. I remember. Yeah, very briefly. Yeah.
Was you involved in anything in terms of his move into the programme with Derby and Middlesbrough? No,
I don't. I know the name more than actually having a massive link with him. To be honest. Yeah.
It's mad to think that Malcolm Christie was at Nuneaton.
Yeah, I've always wondered, and that's why I've asked Andy the question there. Like, what was that like to be around, because actually the level that he jumped from was huge, wasn't it?
Yeah, of course it was. Massive.
And I think financially, I don't know what the money looked like, but even that,
it must have been crazy, mustn't it? Must have been crazy, but no, not it sort of passed me a little bit. But I knew a little bit about him, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Out of like the clubs you've played for, are there any that hold really like special memories, or one where you really enjoyed your time there? And
I mean Rushden Diamonds really, because obviously I left Northampton to go and play for Rushden Town, because I knew the manager. He's Roger Ashby was there. His son was Nick Ashby, who's a big mate of mine. We're best mates, so I went there and played. And it was when the two merged, Rushden Town merged with Earthland Diamonds, and it all formed that. So that I had some really good years. I probably played there 9 years, certainly over 200 games. So that was something that I held really close to my heart, because it was really local for me as well. So I knew a lot of people. And then to be fair, it was quite a privilege for me then to go and manage the club a few years after. Yeah, so that was the one that's really sticking in my mind. I had spells at Stamford, rugby. I've enjoyed all the clubs I've been at really, but Rushden Diamonds was one I was there a long while at. Really, yeah.
Did you have many? Was there anyone sort of like helped you through your playing career, or anyone where you made like really strong friendships? But we talk about it all the time. Football friendships are made massively. You always have someone that you play with a lot. You make really good connections with. Was there anyone in that sort of time when you?
Well, obviously Nick Ashby I mentioned we'd been schoolmates for a long while. His dad was manager, so we've always been good friends. He'd played me at Town Boys and County, so we're the same age. And the other one, not to name drop, is Sean Dyche. Again, he's another one. He's the same age as me, and his kids are the same age as me. So he was Kettering, I was Northampton. So we played in all these teams together, and I still stay in touch with him now. So that's. I didn't play loads of him after County, because obviously he went to Notts Forest and I went to Northampton. We played it against each other in the FA Youth Cup, but we've just stayed friends over the years. Nick Ashby's a big mate of him because they were at Forest together, so they still go up together. So I still see Sean, and he hasn't changed at all, not at all.
A gentleman that I used to work with at Leicester, Tony Loughlin, was his assistant. For a while. Yeah. And he off air tells me some really good stories about Sean.
Oh yeah, well, I think I know some of them.
Sean, he's not at a club at the minute, is he, Sean?
No.
I think he's waiting in the wings. To be fair, I think he's having a bit of a time out. I think he's enjoying that. But yeah, so it's ironic because his son's the same age as Morrison, so they played together as well. So that sort of got us back together, talking, not talking, but familiarise each other. But he's good. Yeah.
Finishing like your playing career and like moving into management, did you know you were always going to do that?
Yeah, well, I'd done my coaching badges when I was at Diamonds, be fair, just to help in the academy, and my kids were coming through. So I took my daughter's team to start with. She's the eldest. Then my son's team, and then my youngest. So I've done all that sort of thing. So I took my badges to help do that, really, in the Diamonds Academy. So I'd be going on a Monday and Wednesday night to do academy, Tuesday, Thursday night to do my own lot of football training. But so that got me into it. So I'd always done my badge, but I'd always enjoyed the managing and the organising. I've been captain in some of the teams. I like that side of it anyway. So I always thought about that. And then obviously I got the chance to assist someone. I actually went to Long Butby. I think I was playing for Wellingborough Town, believe it or not, with Nick Ashby, who was the manager. And the guy at Long Butby asked me to go and help him do it, but player coach, that sort of thing. So that's what I went to do originally. And I'll tell you a little bit of a story. So I did that for quite a while. And then, so I was sort of playing manager, so I was playing and then talking at half time. And we went to Boston, I remember, it's clear as anything, and they whipped a ball in the near post early on, and I went to head it out straight in the top corner, so we won down. And then I fouled the lad on the edge of the box, and I think Gary Bull smashed it in the top corner. So we come in at half time 2-0 down, and I have to stand up and basically say, we've got to defend better as a group. And it was me. And you think, I'm not sure I can do both. So that sort of pushed me into the non-playing bit, if that makes sense. So I was fortunate enough not to stop playing due to injury or stuff, but literally because it took over. And it was too much to try and do both, to be honest.
What age did you stop playing, if you don't mind me asking?
Someone asked me, I don't know. I think he was probably 34, 35, so I'm guessing. But I was still okay. People say he'll play, again, because I was playing sweeper. Yeah. People say he'll play till he's 40. Just, he covers it well, he can read the game. And what if he kicks it on the pitch? Even better if he goes off.
So was that choice, Andy, in terms of retirement, or was it injury? Or
no, it was not injury. It was literally because I was managing. Like I said, I was playing, managing, and I played, and trying to do both was just too much. So no injury. Literally, that was literally it.
We've had that before. People do player manager, and they've all said it's so difficult to do. I think it's a really tough tough role to put yourself in, isn't it?
You're trying to set the standard, and we all know in football anything can go wrong for the best player in the world. But if it does go wrong, and it's awkward, isn't it? It wasn't awkward. It was quite funny, really, because then come off 20 minutes in the second half, we were much better, and I was like, and you think, and I played once after that when I needed to, but I just drifted away from it. And it was fine. And then another club at the end of the season asked me to go and be their manager, full stop, and that's literally what I did. So I drifted out, but I'm quite pleased because some people play too long and then they end up hurting the knee and can never walk properly again, or ankles, and you can play too long, can't you?
Yeah,
I don't feel I do. You know, I'm fortunate if I could still join in stuff if I wanted to now. Not that I would want to, but I can, still run around with the grandkids and stuff like that.
I just want to touch on that. So like obviously you went in as assistant. Do you feel that by going in as assistant, that kind of allowed you a little bit of time to kind of understand and how to manage a dressing room from going from a player, rather than that jump straight into a managerial position, kind of just like look around, examine the room, understand the environment?
I think as an assistant you get the best of both, don't you? Because you're manager side and you're the player side, so you're the little link in between. And I was fortunate enough to do it. So I did it originally at Long Butby, assistant manager. Then I went to Northampton Spencer to be the manager, which I'd done. But then from Northampton Spencer, believe it or not, I then got asked to go to Rushden Diamonds to be assistant manager.
Wow.
So I did a bit of both. So it gave me a good insight how to do it. And then I was at Rushden Diamonds, and the guy who managed it, we won a league, whatever it was, step 5 or 6. He was really, really good, Mark Starmer, with the youth. He'd done all the youth, but he took them from the 18s. But when it got to the men's football, he hadn't quite got that. He'd never played. He didn't get that little bit of banter, and he found it awkward. So I took it on from them, really. But because I'd played, I think it's helped me with that side of it. I mean, some really good coaches. I've got some good coaches with me now, but I think if you've played, it gives you a different dimension slightly. I really do. And you see things as a player. And I've always said throughout my money, from day one, I just wanted to treat players as I wanted to be treated as a player. So that means if you're not playing, I want to pull you and say why you're not playing. Or when you're not playing, I want to still involve you. I remember at Northampton, go back to Graham Carr, he would only ever speak to the 12 at the time we were playing, because it was one cert. He'd speak to that 12, and the ones in the injury, he was like, they're not used to me, Well, I believe they are used to you, because 6 weeks down the line, you need them.
Absolutely.
And I think the people you're not talking to at the time, and the others think that could be me in a few weeks. So my skills have been I've got my coaching match. I don't take the train now. I've got good coaches to do that. But I like to think my man management skills are speaking to people, asking how they are, why.
I think that's so important, though.
Yeah, I do.
That's so interesting. We mentioned him quite a lot, Paul Holleran. He's so good at that man management side, and he trusts then his backroom staff to take care of the football sort of thing. And I think, like you said, it's people want to be talked to, people want to be treated by people, don't they? So it is such an important skill. I'm going to flip on to you. How did you find it? Because I thought you and Adam were very good at it. You're obviously joint managers. So.
I think I'm glad Andy said that, because I think we always had that person-centred approach with the person first and the player second, if that makes sense. And actually, we had to always think about, and we'll touch on this later, within non-league and part-time football, there's so many different dimensions what you manage, and that might be their work-life balance, that might be their relationships, the way they've just fell out with their partner before coming to training. It could be their kids at school. It could be anything. So actually, you need to understand them as a person before they go out and play on the grass. So that's so interesting, Andy. Yeah, and
I think if you understand them and you're okay with them, you get that much more back from them.
Yeah, absolutely.
That makes sense.
And
even like the training thing, like you've said, I'm all of mine trained as they should do. But even at step 3, they all trained. But if someone rang up, someone missus not well or the kid's not well, I'll be like, that's fine. I'll see you next time. If they did it week after week, I'll be like, I'm not stupid. Or some people, my grand's died. How many grand's can they have in the season? But little things. But you get to know people, and I think, like I said, I treated them how I wanted to be treated myself, and I've always done that. So if it means talking to people before a game and explaining why they're not playing, as a player, I didn't like it, but I did feel more of that manager for telling me than just ignoring me.
And I'd echo that again, Andy, as well. I think, like you say, they go that extra mile, don't they, on the pitch?
And that's definitely been my success at Tamworth. I'm not jumping the gun, but we've got such a good spirit and a good group of lads there. That's what's got us through the last 3 seasons, 100%.
It's that changing room. If you can manage that changing room, they sort of manage it themselves, and the team spirit. It's honestly, it's the biggest part of football. I think you could have the best player in the world, but I think
and that's always been my recruitment has been the same. If you said to me now, I've got a lad so and so who scored 50 goals, do you want to sign him? I want to know how many clubs he's had, what he does outside of football, what his friends think about him and whatever. I don't just go sign loads of players for the sake of it. I need to know they're going to fit into my dressing room.
Yeah, but you would tie that into your recruitment for staff as well, Andy, right? Because everybody has to be on the same page.
Absolutely, yeah. I like to go, and I've said this before, because when I first went, I know we talked Tamworth, when I first went, there was a good team there, that's why I went. Yeah. But they didn't know each other. They literally turned up, trained, and went home. Whereas now they've got a dartboard, they get their half hour before, they enjoy each other's company, and I want it to be like that.
Brilliant.
So you get that bond, and people are there not just for the money, because they actually want to work with the people they're with. And I think that's so important.
Have you done your recruitment yourself throughout? Do you take recruitment on yourself? You don't give it to anyone else, or do you sort of make it a team thing of if someone brings you a player, you'll go, okay, I'll have a look at that and we'll look at that together, or are you always on? Do you do?
I do most of it. My assistant Neil Champalova is brilliant. He knows loads of players. He probably knows more than me. But we always look at things together. I wouldn't just go and sign someone without speaking to him. Absolutely not. Obviously, over the year, it's always been a case of if I've seen someone, I might ask a friend to go and look at it, or someone I know, what do you think, go and get some of that. But certainly the last 2 years, I get agents ring me now with players all the time, the time. And even some, they're all trying to sell you the dream of these players, and so I never would take them unless I know more about them, if I'm being honest.
Do you feel like it's changed from when you managed at Rushden to now?
Whether that's the level or just the way football's got evolved, I don't really know. Probably a bit of both, if I'm being honest. Whereas... I get asked all the time, and I like to then find out a bit about the agent, and I have to do a bit of digging, because I've found it where they've tried to sell me the dream of players, and in the end I've said, let me just stop you. I released him at Diamonds, so you obviously haven't done your homework, and they're like, but the player they're trying to sell me is not the player I released. So you sort of learn more and more. This year we've had some good loan players, because there's a guy at Fleetwood who played for me before, that's why I got George Morrison. I knew he was a good player, and I knew the agent wouldn't just give me him and make himself look stupid. So you sort of, again, even that is making links. Do you know what I mean? Definitely, really? Yeah. But if you said to me tonight, I've got a player, I would definitely go and look. I've always said this before, I always give everyone the time of day. I'm not one of these, I've got, who's that? Because I think everyone deserves that. But then I won't waste ages on it, but I'll always follow stuff up.
I think just on that, huge congratulations to George Morrison, because I know he made his league debut last night before Fleetwood came on as sub. And I just want to touch on that. What does that feel like? Obviously, you gave him an opportunity to get game time. What kind of feeling does that give you? Because I know what it gives me in terms of bringing young players in there, taking their opportunities. Give me a little bit on that, Andy.
Yeah, brilliant. I was buzzing. Same with Jamie Jellis last year. I took Jamie Jellis, from a couple of leagues below. He came to us, and he went through. And people with this time last year were disappointed to see him go. But for me, that gives me as big a buzz as winning a league, because I'm helping them on their journey. Yeah. And he's a good kid. And George is the same. George came to me. I watched him last year play against Kings Lynn, and he did all the things I want. He rats around, he gets the ball, he keeps him good energy, good whatever. So he came in. He's played near enough every minute. I've been speaking to Fleetwood through the season. I can't believe Charlie Adam was the manager. He came to watch him a couple of times. Charlie Adam was really complimentary about what we're doing. I can't believe they didn't give an opportunity at Fleetwood, because it's only one league up. It can't be that, unless it's a different system. I don't know. But I've gone on record in the last month or two of saying if ever I got a league job, I would sign George Morrison. Right. So, and then they rang me a couple of weeks ago and said, we might take him back for the end of the season. I was like, but I wanted him to. But it was a bittersweet for me and George, because I think George would have quite liked to finish the season with us, because he loves it.
Yeah.
See out the season.
But it's an opportunity. And like I said, he got a brilliant reception at the weekend. I think it was a nice way to do it that we all knew. I announced it before, so the crowd knew. He just didn't manage to get him off 5 minutes before the end of the game, because it was a comfortable wheel winning. And it ticked all the boxes. And then I was thinking, will he get an opportunity? But the fact he got 20 minutes or 15 minutes last night is brilliant.
In a good result, by the way. I think, was it Accrington?
Yeah, they done well last night. Yeah, they done well. And I get Fleetwood's point of view, because it's a good time to look at him, even though he's got another year. So it's a win-win. And like you said, I've said all along, if I can help people on their journeys, it's like Jellis. The club got some money for him. We could have held out for a lot more money, but I didn't want to scupper the kid's chances of getting that opportunity, because he earned that. And I think it's nice to have him on contract, so I don't like when they just jump from one league to the next for another small money. But if they're going to get a chance to play league football, why would you stand in the way?
Does that then put you kind of in the forefront of that to try and get somebody else? So if you already got players lined up that you can go and fall back on once these guys go back on loan?
Well, this at the moment, we've got enough this year, because we've got 6 games left, so I don't need to replace. We've got enough within. obviously, I've thought one of the biggest things I wanted to do at Tamworth was form some links, because there was no links with your West Broms, your Villas, but the local ones. I think they should be hitting for young kids who are not quite good enough for that. Why wouldn't you come and play in the National League? So I've sort of, Walsall being a good one. I've had a couple from Walsall, as you know, Rowan and other ones early in the season. So I've got links now. Brilliant. So at the start of next season, I mean, we've actually got a friendly already with Fleetwood, so I shall look what they've got next year and think, that's that. And I'll do the same with these local ones. And part of my role being full time will be not to just sit in the office all day. It'll be to go to them in these 23s games or 21s games and then see. Because this year, it's more a case of if, for instance, my left back got injured, I'll be ringing these clubs, what you got at left back. Whereas I want to think, I know what they're there at left back. I know there's a good right back there. So I want to have it all in my head before we need them. That I think that for us in the National League, with a budget nowhere near a lot of the others,
I can imagine.
Loan players is vital, and we've had some good ones this year, some really good ones. We had Rico Brown as well, who was good. He was excellent. He came and done a month. So Rowan's been good. Ben Crompton I've got from Sunderland.
He looks a good player, by the way.
Yeah, so I've had good players. It's worked really, really well, and we need that.
We have jumped the gun a little bit there.
We've jumped in. That's apologies. I'm delving in.
Carried away, but the man's so passionate about it. We love it.
This could be a long podcast. This could, you know that, don't you?
We just want to touch on back at Rushden Diamonds. Obviously, you spent about 9-10 years there, probably even longer, maybe playing. Yeah. You had a couple of promotions though, didn't you? There.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Describe those feelings of. Obviously, you've had promotions with Tamworth. Promotions there would have been like your first sort of ones. How were they?
Yeah, they were good. It was a long while ago. You're asking me to go back now. You're really testing
into the archive.
Yeah, gonna say, crikey. No, they were good. They were fantastic. I mean, if you're into sport, it doesn't matter. If you win, don't you? Whatever you play, you want to win. Yeah. So to win a league was unbelievable. We won the Midland Division, then we won the league above to go in the National League as it was then. So yeah, we had 2 fantastic promotions there and won some senior cups and stuff like that. So it was really successful at Diamonds. Is it? I mean, I still say playing is better than managing. But I think managing for me is a close second. But to actually play is unbelievable. But I think to actually get promoted is probably more as a manager, if I'm being honest. As a player, players, no matter what, players are great. They play and they want to win. But within an hour, if they've lost, they can deal with it. Whereas a manager, I think you enjoy that hour after if you've won, and then you're thinking about the Tuesday, or it hurts longer when you lose. I'm sure you'll agree.
It really does. It really does. Oh.
Had some nights, sleepless nights.
You do, but I think for me that's part of the journey, Andy, right?
Yeah,
you've got to take your highs and your lows, and actually, for me personally, I learnt more from the lows because I was able to go away and educate myself and understand what I need to do next time around. So actually,
come back stronger. You have to,
absolutely.
Don't you? Yeah.
Describe that community and fans at Rushden Diamonds. How was that?
Yeah, that was good. It was really good. Say again, I was a local lad, so I was always well received there. And again, it was another place. My mum and dad and family, wife, kids, always come to watch. It was quite a family place, and yeah, it was a good atmosphere. So we had some really good years there. Again, that was a victim probably of growing too quick, going too far too quick. Yeah. Max Griggs was brilliant. He put all the money in, and we've made some ridiculous signings, which you'd even some of the money that got spent all them years ago, you'd scoff at now. Really, it's ridiculous what happened. But he took it a long way, and then obviously when it got to the Football League, it weren't his hobby anymore. He didn't need another business, and he sort of drifted away, and it come down equally as quick, didn't it? Which was a shame. Which is when it obviously reformed. But yeah, I really enjoyed my time there. Absolutely,
because it's a huge club, wasn't it? Rushden Diamonds. It still is.
Yeah,
it still is.
Yeah,
I remember we went to a youth team game there once, and if I remember rightly, Andy, they had like a new build sort of stadium, did they?
Yeah, the stadium was unbelievable.
Incredible, wasn't it?
The stadium was unbelievable. Yeah,
I remember playing a youth team.
Yeah, I remember Max coming to training when we was at Rushden Town, and it was Eartham Diamonds, Rushden Town, and they were both on pitches not dissimilar to out here, if that makes sense. Yeah. And he came down, both clubs getting 200, and he went, I'm going to form the two together, and we're going to have this, that, and the other. And I was like, whatever, mate. I'm going to get. But he did everything he said would happen. It was the best stadium ever. I mean, I live in Northampton, Sixfields. It was way better than that as ever. It was an unbelievable stadium, and he did get 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 people there, and he did everything he said was going to happen. Happened.
Brilliant.
Which I don't think anyone thought was going to happen at the time, but yeah, he did. But like I said, unfortunately, it just went too big, and once he pulled out, it never was going to be sustainable, and it crashed just as quick. Hence why AFC Wimbledon Stadium was then formed.
So at this point of your management and being successful there, was there like a really big thing that you learned about management and you thought, like, or was there something you had to learn quickly?
The biggest thing I've said with management, and it's always, I've said it all the while, is don't get too high and then don't get too low. That's all I say to a lot of people, because football can be, it's horrible, isn't it? You can, you know, football. Unfortunately, it's your life, and whatever goes on outside of it doesn't seem to matter sometimes when compared to football. It shouldn't. And you know, and if you get beat, you get beat. For me, it's about dusting yourself down. It hurts, and you've got to get back on it. And equally, when you're winning games, don't take it for granted, because football can flip really quickly by one decision, and then confidence is either high or low. So that's the biggest thing I've always said. You know, don't get too high, and equally don't get too low. And I say that now, but obviously when you lose a couple of games, you don't feel like that. It's easy to say it, but it's not as easy to actually carry it out.
And I'm sure Mrs. Peaks doesn't feel that way either. And
Mrs. Peaks is happy when she sees that we've won. Put it like that, because she knows Mr. Peaks going to come home happy. She comes to the games, home games. To be fair, yeah, she likes it. She's never a football fan until she met me, but she likes it. Yeah, but like I said, and the kids come, and everyone, they just know it's passion, and they know you want to do well. So it hurts everyone, doesn't it? And I'm just if it don't hurt, you shouldn't be doing it.
I'm just going back to obviously your son and your daughter, and your journey started with them.
Yeah,
they must be super proud of what you're doing now.
Oh yeah, I mean, the sons both still play.
Yeah.
The daughter doesn't play now. She's got the two little ones herself. Right. So, but they all come. I had two little ones were mascots at the Tottenham game. So they were 2 and 3 at the time, or 3 and 4. So it's like. It's football just goes through the generations, but they're really proud of what we've done. You know, see me on telly and the FA Cup draw and stuff like that, which is quite surreal, really even for me now. But it's like I said, it's one of them, and you know they feel your pain when it's not going well, and when you're doing well, they love it and they enjoy it just as much.
The gift of football.
Yeah, but I'm going to say this, and you're probably going to be upset with me. I'll never forget when we lost against Newport Pagnell. That was so we got far in the FA
quarterfinals of the FA Bars.
Yeah.
Newport Pagnell's near to me, you see.
Newport Pagnell.
Yeah, there would be that way.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. So Newport the year before went on to win it.
Yeah.
And then we drew them in the quarterfinals.
And that was good.
We hit the bar on 30 seconds to go, Andy, and then it went to pens. And we went out on pens. I know.
It's a wonder, isn't it?
And that was like that was like the gut wrenching thing.
Oh, it was. It was.
Really
when I say you can't get too low, you can for that.
You can.
It's how do you not? And it really, you can't. But
you can't. And they went on to get to the final again. So fully deserved. Fully deserved. I didn't learn.
Did they lose it that year?
They lost it against Ascot United.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
They got good players though, Pagnell, to be fair.
Yeah, they did at the time.
Quite a few of them are ex-Diamonds players and stuff like that.
Okay,
they would have been. Yeah.
They're 2 big strikers.
They did. Jake Worthington and Albie.
Yeah.
Law.
No,
I can't remember. Albie, I know it's up. Yeah.
Albie something. Yeah.
I know Ben Ford would have played.
Ford
played.
Yeah, they did. They had a good, an honest group that obviously got them to the final the year before. In the same cohort, kind of.
Yeah, well, not be if you get there 2 years on the trot, it's not a fluke, is it? It's like look at league tables now that they take shape by now, don't they? Really, they don't lie.
Yeah.
But we are going to move on to Tamworth.
Oh, here we go. Delve into it, Cookie.
We are going to delve into it. So obviously you had the call back in 2022. How long did it take for you to come to a decision to join Tamworth? So when you had that phone call, Tamworth on the phone, were they step 3 at the time, weren't they?
Both step 3 were. I'd been to Tamworth about 3 weeks before on a Tuesday night with Diamonds and won 1-0. Liam Diamond scored an absolute screamer. Past Jazz. Jazz won't mention it. Yeah, we'd rib him still now. We won 1-0. And typical Tamworth at the end of the game they were giving us grief all the time, and they threw beer and Guinness and everything all over us, and like they do behind that shed. I'll keep saying that now. And then about 3 weeks later, the chairman rang me and said, "Well, I'll be interested in the job." So I went to meet him. It was not a tough decision, but it was obviously Diamonds were sitting in the playoffs at the time. You probably know that.
I read that.
Whereas Tamworth were probably much 4th or 5th bottom. Hadn't won for a long while. So some people thought I was mad, but I'd say I knew the sort of players Tamworth had got, and I knew equally that Rushden Diamonds. I spoke to the chairman. They didn't even want to go up. I said, well, if we get in the playoffs, they said, well, there'll be no extra money next year. We don't want to go up, really. Because they'd hit their... Obviously, they'd been in that situation before and gone too high. They didn't want to do that. So that made it one of them. I'm still really ambitious at that point. So, I spoke to my assistant, Neil Shamplover, who was with me. and a guy called Chappers. It was the three of us, and I made that decision. I spoke to the wife and whatever. She said, "Well, it's an hour's travelling and all that." So yeah, but there's a lot more. The facilities are better, the budget will be better, the players are better. So yeah, it was quite an easy decision, if that makes sense. Even though Rushden had been, in my heart for a long while, and most of the people at Rushden understood it.
Yeah, because I touched on that. I read that you were in the playoffs when you left, and a lot of people would go, It's a very difficult. It is. I know you're saying it wasn't, but I'm from the outside. I look at it and go, that's a difficult decision. But I think you must have seen the vision of Tamworth and gone.
Yeah, I just looked at it and I thought Tamworth I could take further, and Rushden didn't want to. They answered my question. I went to see the chairman on the Thursday or the Friday, and then we played at Barwell on the Saturday at Diamonds, and we won again. At least we were in the playoffs. So I had to go to training then on the Tuesday and tell the lads.
So just touching on that, Andy, so your vision there was you believed that you could take the club further just off obviously the players that they had and what you could work with.
Well, the first remit was to be safe, because I think there was 10 or 12 games to go, and I just looked at the players and I'm like, that all of them 11 would have got in my 11 within reason at Diamonds. Not everyone, but there's certainly been more Tamworth than Diamonds. So I thought something's not quite right there, and I just thought that's something we can work with. And saying the fact that Rushden didn't want to kick on either made it a little bit easier. So not for people outside, because people are like, why would you leave them to go there and all that? But it was literally because of that, and I could see that Tamworth was a club that should be playing higher than it was, and whereas Rushden was a club that didn't want to be. So it was quite an easy decision. It was more the emotion of being at that club for such a long while that probably made it more difficult.
I think the self-belief there of you as an individual just shows paramount of what sort of gentleman that you are, because actually, just going to touch on this question now, to get back-to-back promotions is a phenomenal task, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone would see that. I mean, say that first year was to get enough points to be safe, and I think we won 10 or drew 2 out of the last 12, or 9 and 3, or something ridiculous. We was on the verge of the playoffs almost. So that said a lot, but it was just a case of me and Shams said straight away, and I say Shams because he does it all with me, it was just about going in there, making them know each other, making them want to play for each other, being organised, being a bit fitter, and playing for us. Yeah. And that's what we did, really. And it just turned the switch like that. And you just saw people that weren't playing well all of a sudden become good players. A couple left the club sooner rather than later for various reasons. But I've done quite a lot, not a lot of digging, but I asked a lot of questions and what I thought, and just made my own decisions. But I knew there was a lot of good players there, because I'd seen them over the previous couple of years, which is, step 3 for me was not easy, but I knew step 3 inside out, because I've been in it a few years. I know all the teams, all the players, all the managers. So that for me was never going to be a massive problem of doing well. Obviously, when we won that, then that was the first year. Then the second year was to consolidate, and obviously we won step 3. But again, I knew step 3, so it wasn't a massive shock, if you like. You still got winning, but it was like last year really when I went to step 2, and I openly admit, well, I don't know any of the teams in that. I don't know the players, because why would I? I'd never been watching it before. And obviously this year's I don't know how a National League, It was just getting them really organised and wanting to play for me, wanting to play for the club, and wanting to play and be with each other. Really, that was the main thing. That first thing. So it was good, really. And so I keep saying, football's momentum in it. Really, winning, start believing you're going to win. Losing, people question each other.
I just going off I just wanted to delve into this a little bit. In terms of back-to-back promotions, obviously you say about strategies and keeping momentum going from promotion to promotion. So you're saying here, togetherness was the key? Yeah,
definitely. Togetherness was a massive key in all of it we did. So when I first come in that first season, you've probably heard this before, we went to Leicester, we trained on the Tuesday or Thursday, Thursday was the first session, I think, and then we just did whatever. I went to Leicester on the Saturday, drove all the way down there, and it threw it down the rain all the while. It was never going to be on, but we had to get there. Got there, rain. The ref said, I'm going to call it off. It's like 1:20. Brilliant. So some of the lads, let's get back on the coach. But when I spoke to them there, they were like, oh no, well, we've got the food and that ready. So me and Shams again was like, we'll have an hour in the bar. And the lads were like, I said, you have an hour in the bar, have a couple of pints, blah, blah, blah. And they loved it. Not nothing stupid, but just getting to know each other. Right, a bit of bonding, and then we got back on the coach, and a couple had another and then we got to services, and a couple of them, I think it was Jazz, said, I never even knew he was that job, and I never knew and they didn't know each other.
I think someone mentioned, I don't know if Jazz or Tom mentioned that on our pod.
It would have been Jazz, because Tom wasn't with us that time. No.
I think it was Jazz. He mentioned about that, where you come in and you got together and you just talked.
Yeah, it was just, and a couple of them were like, I can get home to see my kids, Gaffer, and I'm like, but if we've been playing a game, you want to go home till 7, you're still going to get home at 4:30. So that's not an excuse. So I sort of then straight away thinking, okay, he's here, not for the right.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. They didn't all have to have 3 pints. They could have had a Coke or soft drink. It wasn't about that. It was about talking
together.
And we did that. And like I said, then we trained in the week. And again, I remember it clear as anything. We had a practice match, so I could see them all, and I could see a couple of lads, I won't say who, I felt were getting bullied,
right?
Because they were on the case.
Yeah.
So we stopped it, and I was like, right, no one's bullying, no one's telling, you lot are playing, me and Shamps are doing the managing, so if anyone needs a rollicking, we'll be doing it. And sort of got it into them. And then these players that then were like, oh, and they've got stronger and stronger. So it sort of put a stamp down without being whatever, and it just got everyone working as well. And then I think the Saturday we had our first game when we played, and I think we won 5 or 6-0 against Barwell. So that really, all of a sudden, when you come into a club and they haven't won, and you win 5 or 6-0, everyone thinks you're brilliant, no matter what, really, don't it? So that won a lot of people over. Yeah, I nearly did, actually, yeah. It didn't get no better. But yeah, and it went from there, really. And so then they started to get a bit of belief, and they just got stronger and stronger. So that was the first year. And the second year, again, was very, very similar. We were in the mix, this, that, and the other. And again, really, when he says galvanised, we had a bit of a debacle with the Eton game that got abandoned. Do you remember that?
I see that,
which we were winning, and they came off and wouldn't play. And for me, I'm not going to get into that. The politics were wrong, but it shouldn't have been replayed, I don't think.
Was that behind closed doors in the end?
So it got played behind closed doors.
Yeah.
And at that point, that just galvanised the lads, because all the lads knew we were winning, and they could have carried on for what. I'm not saying it was right or wrong. Some things went on was not right, and there should have been things done differently. But whatever happened, because we had to play it behind closed doors, it just re-galvanised the group, and it made them stronger. It was like, we'll do. The league have made us do this, the league have made us do that, and it just like, we'll do it for us. And it made them better and better. And we played in Eton go on a couple of weeks later behind closed doors and beat them easily. And then we beat Leiston, and we just game, and just kept winning.
But it sounds as though you've created that mindset though for the boys, because if reverse 18 months, 2 years, would they have had that mindset to go in?
They wouldn't. And that, to be fair, that's all we had at Rushden to be in the playoffs, because at Rushden the bonus, the wages and the resources at Rushden was way below even at Tamworth.
Yeah,
we'd got people on nothing, but I had a group that again wanted to play for each other and work hard and believe what we were doing.
You've mentioned Shamps quite a lot.
Yeah.
How long has that relationship been going on for then?
Yeah, he had a couple of years with me at
Rushden.
I mean, I knew him a long time ago before that, and a couple of times during pre-season when my other assistant was Paul Lamb, who was brilliant with me at Rushden. When he was away, Shamps would come and do the odd session or whatever. So I've known Shamps, but then when Lammy eventually stopped doing it because he works teaching in colleges, Shamps come in then. So we've been together since, I wouldn't like to say, but certainly 2 or 3 years at Rushden and then all the while at Tamworth. So yeah, he's, like I said, he's a good assistant. If I need to go and watch games, I know I can leave him. And now Tim, who's a brilliant coach, Tim Dunning, he does it. And I know I can leave it in safe hands. And people say about managing, I still say managing's great. And you get, when we lose, it's my fault, don't get me wrong. And when we win, I get all the accolades. But ultimately, the guys around you make you. And that's like your backroom staff are just as important, because they have to be doing their jobs well, and you have to trust them for it to be working for me. So they are vital, like the physios, the goalkeeper coach, the whole lot. You're all in it together massively. The S&C coach we've got now and all that.
Is that what you started to bring? That was going to be one of the questions, and hopefully I'm not jumping the gun, but obviously with you going full-time most recently, and obviously how well you guys are doing now, and you're implementing S&Q coaches and all that. Is that something that you felt you've needed to kind of get to the next level? Yeah,
we took that at the start of the season, because they do the data and they do the fitness programs and all that. And I think you have to evolve with football. You know, years ago I wouldn't have gone out for warm-ups when I played. You probably know it would be, I'd sit and read the program and then almost go out and stretch and play. Yeah. But now, and again, cool downs weren't a thing, but you have to go with it. And I think all these things you bring in now, a mindset for the players to have. And you know, footballers like to do things the right way. If you don't do it, that's an excuse ready made from straight away. You know, if they're not there at the weekend, where is it? Oh, we can't play now. And this is not in the change room, that's not in the change. You know, little things that routines. And I think you have to. I remember watching England years and years ago, and with David Beckham, and he did it all. He did all the stretching, he did all that. I used to think, well, if it's good enough for him, it's got to be good enough for us at step 3. But I think we've implemented all those things and took it, the level, and it's nice to see the data, how far they run. I'm a little bit like that because I'm old school. Sometimes I say, oh, he's run so-and-so. And I'm like, yeah, but I could get someone from my pub to run around all day. But I need to know what they do with the ball and whether they, So you've got to get a balance of the two, haven't you, really? Yeah. But it is nice to see the high intensity they run. It's definitely valuable, hence why everyone's using it.
Brilliant.
It's different, isn't it? Like non-league is, like you said, 10 years ago, even 5 years ago, you wouldn't have any of that, would you?
No,
now you're seeing all the VO cameras,
but
the vests and stuff, and it's now. You only used to think that'd be in the pro game, like Premier League and Champ and all that. Now it's just drip feeding down, and it's like.
Yeah. I think you've always got to be one step ahead, and it's always interesting to know where success comes from. So I'm always intrigued to know, like, are these successful managers doing anything differently to your normal run-of-the-mill manager, if that makes sense?
Yeah, no. Oh, I think most managers are doing it now. It's like the VO and stuff, I remember playing and sometimes someone would say, that was your fault, and you think, well, it weren't. But now you can show them it. Yeah, you can literally clip it. I mean, some managers will put it on the big screen in front of everyone. I'm not a massive fan of that. I'd sooner pull individuals and say, look, this is what I'm saying about. Because I think some people don't want to be told in front of everyone else. So again, that's back to the man management bit. Some need a rollicking in front of everyone else because then I'll show you. And others are like, go into their skin. So, but if you've got it, you can show them.
Yeah.
And if they say you didn't run very far or your intensity, well, I thought it was. And if you've got the vests on, it's proof.
Yeah.
Do you think that's different, Andy, in terms of, obviously, I know you guys are part-time at the moment, but I'm thinking about your Barnetts and your Yeovils and your Rochdales who are predominantly full-time.
Yeah.
Is that any different within that environment, do you think?
They just spend more time on it. I mean, when we played Barnet, and to be fair, they beat us 7-0. That's the biggest defeat we had there. Yeah, we did. And it was one of them. We come off. I think it was 7 with about 20 minutes to go, and I was, you're thinking it's embarrassing, really. And as a manager, you feel you can do nothing because I can set us up to be organised and give them belief. But when you're 3 or 4 down, they know they're beaten, really. And they were very, very good. But to be fair, Dean Brennan, I spoke to him afterwards. He said, "Come and have a drink," and I was like, "I don't want to have a drink." But he took me in. We had a chat with their staff, and they were complimentary. They said, "You lot will be all right." I said, "Do you reckon?" Because we've seen you before. Because even at 6 or 7, you didn't give up. Some teams have rolled over. I've seen it. And he was very, very complimentary. But he also said about Tom Tonks' throw.
Yeah.
Obviously, because everyone does the stats all the while. And whereas we have a game sometimes on a Tuesday and we might do an hour's work on whoever on the Thursday, that's it. These teams are doing it all day. Yeah. He said, because we spent 2 days this week making sure you didn't get a throw in our final third because of Tommy Tonks. I thought, think about it, we didn't get a throw. But that's because he'd done their homework and they'd set up. They would sooner kick it out for a corner, I think, than a throw. But that's how intense they are. And all these teams do homework all the time, whereas we just don't get the time. Which is why it's good that we have done so well, really.
That throw, obviously we had Tom on.
I'm so glad you're going to ask this question because I want to know. Go on.
Well, I don't know what you were going to ask, but I was obviously we've had Tom on. We've talked about the throw. He's described where it came from and utilised it. But for you as a manager, utilising that throw, I don't know how to word it, but obviously you said Barnet done the homework and they managed it. Does that worry you in a way that throw won't be as useful every game?
No.
Do
you know why? Because I remember when I was at Rushden, he played for Rushden. Every time we played Tonks, I was like, oh God, remember that throw, Jesus. Because nobody wants to. And every team sets up now, and because he's been on telly with the Tottenham game, everyone knows about it. I can tell you now, as soon as he gets the throw, the linesman's like, you can't go any. They won't give him 2 yards. Whereas anyone else, their play, walk 5 yards and throw. Because it's Tom Tonks, you got to go to that spot. And all the managers saying, look where. So it's. And again, Saturday, the last game we had, Eastleigh were adamant about this throw, and he'd said they'd spent all week stopping the throw, and Dan Creaney, and this, that, and the other, and Tom Tonks. And fair enough, first half, they come and caught one, and they wrestled him to the ground and all that. But then it's the one they missed second half, we score. And football, if you put the ball in the opposition's box 10, 15, 20 times, eventually somebody might have a great header, but it might hit someone else and drop. It just causes chaos. So all these teams this year have watched us, and people say about next year it'll be even harder. And I think it will be harder. But they all know how we play now, but they still find it hard to stop us.
Because like you said, and did I ask that? That was the sort of right way of asking it.
Yeah.
I don't know if that, I was going to say like...
From a tactical point of view, I'm just thinking about this, Andy, like... And I don't want you to give your secret weapon away, by the way. But is that percentages for those throws rather than a precision? As in like, So I would say it's more often. So... Again, don't go too much into it. Do you try and play in them areas to get that opportunity?
Yeah, we like to get a throw if we can. Yeah. But, I mean, some managers have been quite respectful this year about what we've done. Others have been, they're very one-dimensional. Well, they're actually not, because we've played more football this year than before. And And to be fair, it's not just about the throw.
No, absolutely.
It isn't just about the throw. We've scored a lot of goals not on the throw.
Yeah.
But it's such a good weapon. But I've been to games before where I've not played Tonksy because we've gone different ways. And then he's then a good option to bring on with 15 minutes to go if you want to throw it in the box. But it is percentages, and that's what he said. If you put the ball in someone's box, whether it be a corner, a free kick, a throw, X amount of times, eventually something happens.
Yeah, but I also think it's that he's one of your players. You're going to utilise that all day long. You're going to, I do. Again, this is one thing I've been wanting to ask you as well. Is I've looked at your teams from when you joined Tamworth Step 3. There's players in that team that are in the National League now.
Yeah,
which I think like Jazz Singh, for example, and I think there's a couple of others. Sorry if I can't remember what your names were, but is that a really proud thing of you, and that sort of knowing that you're believing in players to bring up to that level and sort of stick with them and go, you're one. I believe you can do it in the National League North. I believe you can do it in the National League. Like, for example, Tom Tonks is very experienced. Played at a number of different clubs, Jazz as well. But then you got people like Beckeray, who was at Barwell only not long ago, but now is in the National League. The players, they're not all just National League players. It's not like you've just gone out and got National League players or League Two players. You've really used the levels, which I applaud you for. That you've gone, no, I believe in these players.
To be honest, we've not got the resources to go and sign National League players, proven ones, because they're too expensive. So we've gone with what we've got. But I've always been a big fan of, I like to give people opportunities. So again, we spoke about it off air, but if we lose a couple of games and a couple of people have bad games, that don't mean I just go and change 4 players. I like to keep the consistency until I really need to change it, because everyone can have a bad game, and for me it's about trusting them, then they trust you. And so we've got there's a few who have come through the step. Callum Mollett's another one, fantastic this year. He was there when I got there. Obviously Dan Creaney was there when I got there.
Sorry, Dan Creaney, he's another one that he's mentioned.
We've got a good group really, and then there's some of these others that I've got now who are with me at Rushden, Step 3 players. And then I signed a couple of other Step 3 players who have come through. So a lot of them have come through because there's not many I've thought I've got it wrong there. They're not good enough. And I said at the start of the season, again, back to honesty, we're going to the National League. I don't know what it's going to be like, but I trust you guys, because I thought it was easy because I hadn't got a club where they said there's loads of money going. It was a case of if you can stay in that league, brilliant. So I said to all the boys, I said, look, I want all of you next year because you've all earned the right, in my opinion, to play at Step 1. If after 10 games we haven't got a point and we're struggling, I'm going to start looking at other players, and we might have to come in on a Wednesday night as well, or a Monday night, and although we're not full time, do something different and change it. But we haven't had to, and I've added 2 or 3 players along the way, and they've bought into what we're going to do. And it's just work, really.
Again, I think that comes down to you being that person-centred person and actually giving them an opportunity. I know you're saying there about 10 games, but you've given them 10 games there to create their own kind of career. And what they're doing. I'm just shouting out to Dan Creaney, because Dan Creaney actually come through the youth setup here. And he obviously broke into the first team, and what a player. Obviously at this level, even at the ages, I think he was 18 or 19 at the time.
I remember watching him play.
Incredible.
I think he was here with Ivor, weren't he?
He was here with Ivor. Dave Turner brought him through.
I was physio there when I was him play.
And he was always going to go and play at a very good level. You could just tell.
But he's kept that going though. Every level he's been at, he's proven himself, proven.
He didn't do as well last year goal-wise, because the year before when we won Step 3, he was the highest goal scorer in the country behind Haaland.
I remember
that. So everything he did scored. Last year he was still a handful, but he didn't score quite as many goals, and I think that played on his mind a bit, because he's all scored goals. But I said, look, what you're doing with scoring from other the teams doing, and he got it. He's bought into what we've done. He's been brilliant with me, and I think it's been a good combination, me and him, because sometimes he's not as an acquired taste as some of the others. He sees things a bit different. He likes to voice an opinion at times in the right way, and whereas some managers would probably, I'm not having that, I've keep him sweet because he's been good for me, and it's quite a respectful either way, if that matters. And I think it's about getting the best out of people, and not being funny. What he's done again this year is credit to him, really. And so it's worked, and it has worked. And there's a few like that, really. I mean, you say about Tom Tonks, I think he's adapted his game this year. It's not just a throw. He's improved. People at the club said, what you got him back for? We had him before. Oh, he just got a long throw. But then now they're saying, actually, he can actually pass it. He gets stuck in. He covers a lot of ground. He's been brilliant for me. They've all been good this year, because we wouldn't have done what we've done if they weren't.
No, I agree, and that's what I think it's brilliant that you've got a really good mix of experience, but also that youth coming through, like your Beckray and other young players.
A lot of the loan ones have all been young, you see. So we've had three or four, Rowan Mayer, Ben Crompton, they're all only young kids, but I've got a good group of senior ones as well who have took them under the wing a little bit. Hayden Hollis joined me this year.
That's it.
He's been brilliant around the place.
And the boy that you signed this week on forms, Charlie Edge, I've seen that.
He's a young one who's come through with Tim. Yeah, so...
You got the lad from who used to play for Leicester.
Yeah, Arj.
Yeah.
We've took him. He hasn't had as much game time as I'd like to give him because we haven't. I don't think we've hardly dropped a point since he comes. I don't like changing it for the sake of it, but he gets that. He'll get opportunities now. George has gone back, to be fair. But again, that was a good little link we've got with them. And again, it's about me getting in, foot in the door and getting players as and when I need it. Like I said, I don't want loads of loan players because you need your own little nucleus. But it's good to be able to know what you can get when you need it.
Yeah, for sure.
You've got that backup, or that you can, when you're bringing someone on, it's going to be like for like in a way, or it's going to.
I think that's such a smart move from Andy.
Really important, isn't it?
To create contacts and relationships with clubs and the players that might not get a lot of game time going into the 21 development squad, or they need the physicality of non-league to have those contacts. Is incredible.
And it's like you just said, Cookie. What I've tried to create there is a squad where, and I've said this quite a few times in the sponsor lounge before, where I feel I could almost, if I've got say 21 or 22 in the squad, I feel I could almost perm any 11 and be okay because I haven't got some at this standard and some at that. I've got them all roughly the same. And that's, even not with looking at Dan Creaney, I've now got Danny Waldron who's on loan. What a good player he is. That you look, if you take Dan off and bring Dan on, it's good. And I've got that almost everywhere. Wide area's the same, midfield the same, and it's good because you do lose people for injuries or suspensions or whatever. And if you've got something equally as good to come in, it doesn't disrupt anything. And we've managed to do that. And I've always, one of the biggest things I've said, if we're going to be successful, it's not just the 11. I'll go around the change room. So even the ones not playing today, it's all of us. To be successful, you need everyone.
Absolutely. 100%.
You do.
100%.
You do. Just before we touch on the magic of the FA Cup, 'cause I'm sure we're getting closer to that, right?
Yeah, it's
obviously, I know just before you were given the full-time opportunity at Tamworth, and obviously, I believe you were juggling responsibilities at a college along with that, and then the opportunity came along. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, I was obviously at college the last couple of years as a learning support.
Brilliant.
So helping kids like with learning difficulties, all the sort of stuff like that. So I enjoyed that, but I was doing that. Originally, I was doing it Tuesday all week, and then this year I decided to do it Mondays at Tamworth because it would give me more time. But obviously, the season's gone. It's just I was spending time in between lessons on the phone to agents, the chairman, to players, and it was just too much. And then getting back at 2-3 in the morning from Hartlepool and Yeovil, and then being back in college at 8 was like, hard. So it was one of them really. The club said, why don't you do this, that and the other. So it's been brilliant for me because I'm not at the club every day or anything, but I can do loads of stuff at home or go and watch games, and it just gives me a little bit more of a chilled life, if that makes sense. And I have still been back into college a couple of times because a lot of the kids there I've been with them a while, and they were like, you can't just leave. And so I promised them I'd go in, and I'm doing invigilate some exams as well. So it keeps my foot in the door there, and I'm happy to do that because I got on well with everyone at the college, as teachers, as students, all of them. So it's not a goodbye completely, if that makes sense. So it works, but it's good for me to have the full-time gig because it gives me a lot more time to do stuff, and like I said, to go into these clubs when I need to.
What does that full-time gig look like now, Andy, in terms of just give me a look at your week's plan?
I always go in on a Monday. Tuesday, depending on the game, I'll probably go in whatever. Wednesdays, I've been doing bits and bobs from home. Not always. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I'll just have a chill out, to be honest, on a Wednesday. Then Thursday, I'll go in for training. And Friday, I do stuff from home because I don't have to go in for that. So it's given me a lot more flexibility, if that makes sense. And to be fair, I was never asking for massive money, so I was never going to be there 9 to 5 every day. There's no point because the players are not there. There's not, it's doing it from. But a lot of the stuff, it's just to stop me doing the stuff I was doing at college, sending emails, talking to scouts, talking to agents during my lunch hour, or can I just pop out this lesson? I've got to take this call because I need to sign somebody. Just that sort of stuff, really.
It's having that work. It's having that balance, isn't it? And I think Tamworth have really been clever there, and they've noticed and gone, we're in the National League. We've got a great manager and a great person. let's give him that time, that energy where he can focus on the football and not be doing things like taking calls in and out. And it's like, I think it's a really smart way that Tamworth have done that, and they're not just jumped to full time for everyone. It's sort of like a building block of going right.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
No, I'm with you, because we've got the academy and that there, so that's always going on. There's games, and then at times, perhaps next year, we might have some in on a Monday who want to do stuff. The ones who haven't got jobs, there'll be more and more contact time, if that makes sense. But equally, like I said, I'm quite good friends with Matt Sadler at Walsall. He's been good with me, and we chat, and he, come and have a coffee, it means I can go and do stuff like that, rather than, hang on Matt, I'm just on my lunch, can I take so-and-so Rico Brown? It'll just give me a better style of life, really.
Do you think that time that you've had created for you now is paying dividends in terms of the results that you've been receiving? So I know we're now into March and you was given that contract in January, but over that period of time you've obviously gone from, I think it was in the bottom half to 4 points off the playoffs, and then you've gone unbeaten this year. This month, and only Barnet have got a better league form than you. Like, that's incredible.
It looks like it was quite funny because the first, I think, although it came out, I think I started the middle of February, halfway through February. But I think that first 2 weeks in February, as the lads quite like ribbed me, I don't think we won a game. So you've gone full time. I thought we haven't won a game yet, and I was like, yeah, you're actually right. I think we'd had some good draws. To be honest, probably lost one, but had a couple of good points against York at home and Barnet at home and all that. Because the lads are like, we haven't won a game since you went full time, Gaffer. So I was getting it. But obviously, the last month when I've done full time properly, we've had a brilliant month.
Incredible.
But I haven't done any more than I was probably doing. Nothing's changed really. No. I'll go in on a Monday and watch the game on the thingy and go through stuff with Tim, who's there, and this, that, and the other. But it's not massive changes, really.
So there's no change in your delivery, because obviously your delivery will be part-time and it'll be in the evenings for the boys. So your day-to-day is just kind of on the phone.
On the phone, so watching stuff, players, that sort of thing, sorting stuff out, meeting people. But the actual contact time with the players is exactly the same, Tuesday and Thursday nights. And again, we've had so many Tuesday night games, travelling all over. That was the same anyway. We didn't train this Tuesday because the last couple of Tuesdays I've said have a night off because they've just done so many miles. Because again, they're all working and they're getting home, like I'm saying, at 2 in the morning and then going up the next morning. So we've had a couple of thingies, and I looked at the stats of the last 2 games when they've had a night off, and they've run even further. So and we've won the game. So I'm a massive believer, if it's not broken, keep going. Why try and change it?
Absolutely.
Definitely. We'll dive into FA Cup.
That's the best bit, Cookie.
It is. It's a magic.
I can't wait. Part. Just what I want to pick his brains up. The feeling that he must have or had must be incredible. So we'll touch on that.
That's it. So obviously, Tamworth's recent FA Cup saw your team reach the 3rd round, which is amazing. Hosting Premier League side and Tottenham, but also before that beating teams like Burton, Albion. Before that beating Huddersfield, like big teams. I'm already lost, but. Can you share your thoughts and experience, the challenges you've faced, such a high-profile match? Just describe that whole whirlwind of 3 months, I'd say?
Yeah, to be fair, I'll take you back to the first game, actually, which this gets asked all the while in interviews when I get talked about, is the first game we played was Macclesfield.
It was, yeah.
And that was probably the hardest one
Robbie
we had,
Savage,
if I'm being honest. Because they come and everyone's like, they're from so-and-so leagues below. And I knew they were full-time, and I knew they got a good budget. I knew how good they were because I knew a lot of the players, some from Scunthorpe the year before. So that, and we wasn't great that day. And Robbie Savage, I've said this before, he was brilliant. He was great. He was okay with me. But at the end, he was distraught, really, when he shook my hand. He'd been so complimentary before about what I'd done over the 2 years of back-to-backs and all that. And at the end, he shook my hand, and I'll never forget it. And I was perhaps doing it a bit tongue-in-cheek, and he shook my hand and he goes, "How have you won that? How have you won that?" And he was actually right, because Jazz had made some good saves, and we'd probably had 4 or 5 shots, scored 4 goals. And I just said it. I went, "Well, you should know how football works, Robbie. We scored more goals than you." And he was like, "You." But then he calmed down. He was brilliant, and I'm really pleased that he's done well. If you watch it, I'm glad he's done well, because he did well. But that for me was a really hard game, and they're the sort that. We're not FA Cup. You can lose to anyone, can't you? And that wouldn't have been a massive shock in my eyes, because they've got good players. But it obviously set us up then. Obviously, we played Huddersfield on the Friday night, which was unbelievable. Again, that was a Tom Tonks assisted goal, wasn't it? We won 1-0. They were flying at the time. Then Burton, obviously the local derby, the penalties. Everyone said to me about the penalties because it was on telly again. "Oh, you look so calm in the penalties." Like how you're sitting there like that. But to be fair, I was, because I'd said about all these games, I just wanted the lads to do the self-justice and not get rolled over and be... Because you can be, can't you, against these teams? I'd been and watched Burton in the week against... who'd they play in the week? I'll come back to that because my friend Jim Rodwell's the manager. Or do you know Jim Rodwell?
No. Does it ring a bell?
He's the chairman there. So I went to watch them anyway. They got beaten the week, and me and my lad went to watch, and I just thought they were a team that was struggling for confidence. I thought we've got a chance. But so we took them to penalties, and obviously one was unbelievable feeling, wasn't it?
That was
Jazz is brilliant. I always say in penalties, if we can score 4, we've got a good chance because he's always going to save. He's going to save 1 or 2. I think he's so good. So that was that. And he was like, and then obviously to be fair, everyone said, the cut run's brilliant, you're always in the medium. And I got to stage after Burton, I was like, I just need a... Do you know what I mean? It's like all the while, because we did press conference at the ground all the while, there was quite a lot of companies there, Sky and all of them. And it's like, it was solid, which is great, but it's like, again, I was working at the time, it's like draining.
Yeah. You probably needed that hour in your local pub we spoke about.
I probably did need that hour to chill, but straight after the game, they come rushing up to me, the BBC, and said, "Oh yeah, brilliant, did your thing. We want you at the draw tomorrow night." I was like, "What?" Monday was going to be my day off because I was normally at Tamworth. We'd played on the Sunday. I thought, I'm going to have a day. I'm going to go and do a bit of fishing. I'm going to chill.
Yeah.
And they went, the draw's at Old Trafford. We want you there. And I went, I'm not really interested at the minute. Because I think my adrenaline was like that. And only when I got home and the wife said, you what? You are going. So anyway, the next day we went, obviously. And then, and
what an incredible moment, Andy.
Yeah, it was brilliant. So, I mean, that was a good occasion, actually. It was just good how it was done. Dion Dublin was there, who I'd met before the Huddersfield game.
Okay.
He'd come down.
With BBC, right?
Him and Ashley Williams.
Yeah.
They'd watched us train on the Thursday, and to be fair, they were brilliant, just like normal football lads. We had such a good chat watching it, and they were great. But obviously, he was good. So when he pulled Tottenham out, he was getting all that in the background because he knew.
I'm right in saying Ashley Williams is a Tamworth fan because he's that way, isn't he?
His mum and dad live in Tamworth.
Yeah, that was correct.
Yeah, he's born and bred.
Yeah.
Again, he was brilliant. Can't speak highly enough for them two. They're absolutely fantastic. So that was unbelievable. And it was one of them things. I just think. I didn't want to go because I just wanted to chill. I need some time. But if I hadn't have gone, I would never have, because you're not going to get that opportunity very often. To go to the live FA Cup.
One of those where you have to take everything and try and
I'll never
soak
forget
it
the girl
in
who did it.
as
Was
possible.
really, really good. She spoke to us before with all obviously scripted questions because obviously, it's great winning, talking about what's happened.
Yeah.
But then when I've got Tottenham, she come over and interviewed me more live. And she was talking off the top of the head, and she went, "Oh, you must fancy that because you've got a good home record." I went, "Well, we have got a good home record, but we haven't exactly played at Tottenham." So, she said afterwards, "I'm sorry about that. That was a ridiculous question." But obviously she's just saying,
not
almost making us favourites as well,
But that's just a memory of a lifetime, isn't it? To share that with your wife as well, Andy, to go to Old Trafford. And
like I said, you take everything because you try and soak it all in, don't you?
Yeah.
I mean, the Tottenham match, that must have been such a roller coaster of trying to soak it all in because of the presence.
That took a lot of time to really sink in. I think a lot of it you get on the crest of a wave, don't you? We're playing Tottenham, everyone's going mad, and it's like. And I went to watch them. Again, Tottenham were brilliant. They got us tickets if he wants to come and watch some games. Obviously, I'd always watch the opposition. Like I said, if we were playing Aston, I would come and watch you. Because out of respect, because I think you should.
Yeah.
But obviously, I didn't need to go to Tottenham because I've seen them on the telly. I knew how they were going to play, pass. Everyone. But they said, "Oh, if you want to come watch games, so they give us tickets." So I went the first time with my youngest, Jacob, because he loves his football, and we're literally in the box next to Daniel Levy.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And they played Liverpool when Liverpool won 6-3 or 4-3. It was one of the best games football I've ever
Great
seen. Yeah. So that was that. The week after, I said I need to go again and watch them. They played Wolves. So I said there's a few bits I'm not sure about. So I took me and the wife went and watched them play Wolves. So it was the build-up was great, and then we were hearing, well, they perhaps won't bring a good team because he's got to worry about this, got to worry about that. And then the longer it went on, and I just knew they were going to bring a good team because he had to really, because he couldn't really lose.
And he had a big injury list, didn't he?
He had a lot of injuries.
So
he was also under the cosh at the time, wasn't he?
They were under the cosh massively. So, we heard this, that and the other, and obviously Maddison, we knew, a few people knew him, and he'd told people he was definitely playing. So I remember it was on the Sunday, but on the Saturday people had sent me the team saying this, that, and I was like, crikey. And then when I got there on the Sunday and we walked in and they all walked in, they were literally all there, and it was like, then I think it really sunk in then. Because I didn't want to play their youngsters, really.
No.
Not disrespectfully, but they'd probably still beat us easily, or they should do. And it'd be like the fans and the players. You want to see Son and you want to see Maddison. You want to see, you know what I mean, Archie Gray. I'm a big Leeds fan, so that's why I was with Archie Gray and whatever. So to bring such a good team, made it, and then to give such a good account of themselves, made it even better. Really,
unbelievable.
I think the respect that he's shown there is paramount to him as a man as well.
Again, he was so respectful. We saw at the start. He came and found me, brilliant what you've done. He'd obviously done his digging, what he was doing. He was respectful all the way through it. He was respectful afterwards. Signed me. I want to do this. And he was brilliant. Yeah. Again, Tottenham's a club. I'm a Leeds fan, so I've got no affinity particularly to Tottenham, but I can't knock them. The whole thing, they were brilliant. The way they conduct themselves, all the players couldn't do enough for the fans and our players, and I think they come out with it with some credit. I'm disappointed because when I watched it back, we actually should have won that game.
100%. I was watching, and
the one in the 6-yard box where he just got his toe on it and snatched at it a little bit.
So many chances. And I thought, like,
a couple in that, and they thought that was your opportunity, and that would have been one of the biggest shocks ever, I would say.
What was the difference you saw? Like the difference I saw was like the speed of the pass or the precision of a pass. That was just like, wow. They're just like, I think Tom was saying, he was just like, everything was just power and strength. What did you see different between playing a team like that to playing Barnet or someone like that?
Barnet were better.
Okay.
I mean, Barnet were good on the day. And again, come back to Dean afterwards. They probably had 7 shots against us, Barnet, and scored 6 that day. They were just so. I don't think Jazz made a save, and he always makes saves. I remember it quite clearly because couple of weeks after we played at home to. I'm trying to think of this now. It'll come back to me. Aldershot, and we beat Aldershot. I think 4-3 or 3-2. But I said to their gaffer, not being funny, they had probably 15 chances, missed the target. Jazz made some saves, and I said, we lost 7 at Barnet a couple of weeks ago, and you've had more. And that's football, isn't it?
Yeah,
fine lines, really.
Fine lines.
But Barnet were good. And to be fair to me, Tottenham, I don't think they were very good on the day. No. I know there was a difference, and you could see that, but they were not good on the day. I know the pitch is a good leveller and all that stuff, and I get that. Because everyone said, you wish you were going back to Tottenham to play there. Not really, because we could have perhaps not touched the ball there, and then it can be humiliating, can't it? As much as it's been great for the club and the players, it can be tough. I was happy to get a home draw.
Yeah.
And then to get a Premiership was great. Because even away at a team in Division 2, it can be a long old trek to get beat, can't it? Against a team who should be way better than us, really. So to get someone at home, I was happy straight away.
I think you deserved that home draw because I work with some Tamworth fans at the school that I work at. And although he couldn't get any tickets, and I told him I was interviewing you tonight, the atmosphere that was created around Tamworth and the community that gathered for that day or that week was phenomenal, wasn't it?
Yeah, unbelievable. Them sort of things don't happen, do they? People remember that forever.
Yeah, they really do.
The tickets, like you said, some people couldn't get tickets, some could. There was arguments for and against the prices and that, but you're never going to win that one, really.
No.
You know, people would argue you should have made money. But the same people who say you charge too much and whatever. So I'm like, all I always said, my stance on it was that the tickets have gone up, but you'd pay X amount at Tamworth to watch 11 against 11 non-league players, where you're paying to watch 15 internationals. That's how I would look at it. So again, I don't get into the politics. That's not my bit of it. But it was a good occasion for everyone at the club. Really, I think.
My friends at work, they went to the local pubs, and it was like a fan zone, wasn't it?
Yeah, they did. And
honestly, some of the pictures that he showed me yesterday, incredible. Obviously, he'd had a good drink and stuff, but it wasn't an occasion.
I do sympathise with the ones who come to watch us week in if they didn't get tickets, because that's not right, in my opinion. But like I said, how do you organise things like that? It's hard, isn't it?
The club's got to do the best they can.
Yeah.
It's such a difficult. How do you manage it?
You're always going to get people moan either way. Really, if you'd have charged £5 a ticket, people say, "Well, you should have sold. You could have made money for the next few years." If you charge £100, no one can afford. You can't win. I don't think you can win. But luckily, that weren't my baby. I was worried about on the pitch, not off it.
I don't know. I don't want to touch on this, Andy, and please don't if you don't want to answer it. But has that set the club up financially for a long period of time now?
You'd like to think so. I mean, I don't get to know the ins and outs of it, to be fair. But not be funny if you have an FA Cup run. You make money. So if you think to go on the telly 3 times and get 3 lots of prize money, must have put quite a bit of money within the club. Now I know there's a lot of outlays with all these things, and I know it's probably perhaps not made money over the previous years. But I'm going to be diplomatic and say I'd like to think it's in a better place than it was this time last year. But financially, it's got to be, hasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, we can't wait for the next FA Cup run. We expect you to get to the 4th round.
That'll be the expectation. I did something yesterday, and they said, "Are you going to improve next year?" And I was like, I don't know about that. But I kept saying this during it. The beauty of the FA Cup is, and I used Darlaston as an example because that's quite near to where I think we are. Is it Tamworth that way? They could beat us next year.
Yeah.
Because that's how you love it, isn't it? Because anything can happen, can't it?
Yeah.
Fairy tale moments, though, isn't it?
It is,
isn't it?
It really is. Like for you, your family, for the lads, their family, for the community. That's a memory that will live with these guys for a lifetime. And being diplomatic may not ever happen again. Under Andy's leadership, it might next season, but
it might not, because you need a bit of luck as well. You need a bit of luck with draws. You need a bit of luck in games. And I did say that to them. I did say to the lads, I said, look, go and give it your best shot. Blah blah blah. All the normal stuff, but just make sure you take something away and remember it, and don't get home tonight and it passed you by. Because I remember as a player, I've used this a lot when I do football talk before the start of the game. Pre-season, that first game of the season, like the first league game, it can go past in a second because it's the first game, we got to win. Well, it's actually another 40 whatever games, and some people are so uptight for that first game, it passed them by, and I didn't want the Tottenham game to do that, and I think most of the lads took something from it.
Yeah, that we interviewed Beckrey and Tom after, a couple of days after we did a podcast with them, and we talked, and they definitely said they soaked it all in, and which is brilliant. But we also talked about how it can really help players put themselves in a bit of a shop window. Of
course it can, yeah.
So for Tom, who's probably a bit more experienced, he was more about the memory. But we said to like Beck, who's a young lad who has potential to go up, he answered it very well. But it's like for players like him, it's a brilliant opportunity to...
we watched the game. Obviously, I was stood watching the game. The first 15 minutes or 20 minutes that Beck's had, I said again to Shams, he'll get a move from this.
Yeah.
Because people watch him. Now, he doesn't do that week in, week out all the while because he's a young kid.
Yeah.
And he's not going to, as he would be playing higher.
Yeah.
But people see flashes and it can set you up forever. And that's the truth about the FA Cup. It really is. And like I said, it was good it was good with him actually before putting the nets up and that and showing where we're coming from. It was
brilliant.
Do you know what I mean? As in what we're all about. And it showed two sides of it. You couldn't have wrote that really, could you? How it was, but he had a good game and it was good for him because that's put in the shop window. As he has quite a few of them.
And I'll reverse that a little bit. It's put the club in the shop window, and again, Andy.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not sure what your aspirations are, Andy, but my guess is it's going to be Football League. With what you're achieving at the moment, there's only one direction from me, from someone looking in. Is that something that you can touch on now? Is that one of your ambitions, is to go full time in the Football League?
Yeah,
if an opportunity to come along.
Of course it is. I'm still really ambitious. Like I said, and how far Tamworth can go. Obviously, we want to keep going. We want to make the playoffs this year, if not next year, and that's my remit. But if I've got an opportunity for the Football League, of course I want to, because I'm still hungry to do really, really well. And I've always wanted to manage in the Football League at a full-time club, so that obviously it would have to be the right offer for me to just want to leave what I'm doing. But I mean, the club wouldn't expect me to say any different. That's not, I wouldn't be being. I'm always honest. I'd love to manage. I want to manage at the best level I can. Definitely. Of course I do. I want to pit my wits against the best all the while.
I have a funny feeling that might happen in the near future.
Well, we could have another promotion on our hands. I mean, you're doing very well at the minute, and I don't want to.
If I get promoted this year, I'll be sacked. He's told me if we get, you can't go any higher. He said.
Imagine that 3 on the bounce.
Yeah,
it's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, incredible.
But the FA Cup actually was good because a lot of clubs in the FA Cup, when you have a good run, it can ruin your season. Because it gets in the way. And I kept saying all season, every time I said, right, the FA Cup's not for 4 weeks. We've got to win games in between because we don't want to get to May the 2nd and say, you had a great run and got to Tottenham, got relegated. And they didn't. But I said to someone last night when I was doing an interview, I think it actually went the other way. I think it gave them even more belief, and we just got better and better. Whereas it does kill a lot of teams, FA Cup runs, doesn't it?
For sure.
Yeah, people are like, I don't want to get injured, I don't want to do
all that sort of stuff, but it didn't really.
That's one thing that we definitely learned, and I definitely learned, was we put all our eggs in one basket for the FA Vars run and took our eyes off the league. And actually, we rested players for a Tuesday night to play on the Saturday, for example, and it cost us. We sat about, at the time, I don't know what it was, maybe 12th or 13th. Finished 9th, but that's something absolutely does. That's what it does feel that way.
And I kept saying all along, and I still said it now, although we've survived. I kept saying at the start of the season, during the FA Cup, to everyone who interviewed me, I said, if we can survive in the National League, that will be my biggest thing I've done. Not winning step 3 or step 2 or getting to Tottenham, to sustain it over 46 games against all these full-time clubs. That will be the biggest achievement we've done, and hopefully we've. I keep saying to the lads we need one more win, but I think we are safe now.
What is the stat in terms of full-time clubs in your leagues? All of them bar a couple of you.
I think there's Tamworth and I think there's a Shells and
there's Maidenhead. I think who maybe do a little bit, perhaps one extra night. Wealdstone do a little bit, one extra night. There's not really. Most of them are. Boston obviously were hybrid. They're going full time. Braintree are. I think they all pretty much.
It's phenomenal what you're doing, Andy. I know you're quite kind of modest in this, but
humble.
what you've created there at Tamworth is phenomenal.
Yeah. I do. The more it goes on, every manager just tells me it really. So I do get it, but you just go along with it, don't you?
Just week by week, isn't it? Game by game.
And like I said, I'm enjoying doing it.
Yeah,
which I think is a massive thing.
Brilliant.
You've got to enjoy it. A couple of fan questions, which I'm going to ask. Is there a player that left Tamworth in your tenure who you wish you'd stayed?
There's been a few really. Some good players. Obviously, Jealous would be one. You know, you don't want to lose good players, and there's been quite a few over the years that have left to go on to better things, or for various reasons.
Yeah.
There's no one ever left on bad terms, if that makes sense. Because we try and do things the right way, and I'd never stand in anyone's way if they want to progress. Again, George, we've talked about. I don't really want him to go, but how can you hold someone back? Nathan Shakuna only the other week's going to Eastleigh, same level, but it's. I've had Nathan at Diamonds for a few years, then at Tamworth. He lives in MK. He's 26. And it's a chance to, a bit like you've talked about me, full-time opportunity. So why would I stand in his way?
Yeah.
And I've said to him, these sort of people, I've all said, look, you're not burning bridges, and if it doesn't work out, ring me, whether I'm at Tamworth or wherever. I'd want you to play for me again. And there's been a few like that. Yeah, there's not many that I thought, glad to get rid of them. Obviously, you have to update the squad and some leave because they're not getting game time. That's football. But Jealous was a bit of a wounded last year because he was doing so well and everyone loved him and everyone thought it was going to be the end of the world. But I'm like, well,
he's doing well now.
He's doing well now,
and
he's been brilliant. And again, he comes back to the club and he still rings me and he's like, he loved it there because we create that environment where they flourish. And if they flourish like we talked about earlier, you wish him well. But I didn't want to lose him. Of course I didn't. No.
When you're a manager, you don't want to lose your best players, but.
No, you've got to do right. Yeah, I reflect on Ewan Williams. Ewan was 16 here, and he's progressed. He's now playing Leamington first team every week. You can't.
It's the right thing.
It's the right thing.
It's the right thing. Yeah.
If you could only strengthen one position for next season, where would it be?
I don't really know at the minute because we haven't finished, and I don't know who's going to be there next year. Really, I think. Like I just said, really, I think I've covered it. I think we're pretty well covered everywhere. I think I've got. I try and have two for each position, equally as good, and I generally think we've got that at the moment.
Yeah, I agree.
So no, until I know who's not going to be there or going to be there, I'm not identifying any particular area. I think we've scored more goals this year than people expected us to. We've probably not kept as many clean sheets as we did previously, but I think that's the level you're at. People get half a chance and they score, don't they? Really?
Yeah. So that league where you expect goals are going to be going in.
Yeah.
It's just how you counteract and score
definitely.
goals, isn't it? It's a monster of a league, isn't it? We obviously, you didn't, but me and Lee, who usually do it, we had the pleasure of interviewing Mark White.
Yeah.
And we talked a lot about the National League and his thoughts on the National League, and it was really interesting, and he just said he seems that it's really hard not being full time in the National League, but I think you've proven that.
Yeah. I think the fact we started quite well and whatever's give you that bit of belief, bit of momentum, and everyone says we can do this. It's okay. Again, I was worried because we play at high intensity, as in we're quite direct, not always direct, but we certainly want to get the ball back quick, and we don't just sit back and we play high energy. I just wondered as the season went on if people would tire. It might catch us out. But again, perhaps because we've rotated at times and we've got good players to come in, it hasn't. We're still, putting the same stats out now as we were at the start of the season, probably more.
That's incredible.
So it hasn't caught us up with at all. No. Well, like you said, we're on the best run we've had, and we've got 6 games to go. So we've literally maintained it.
Yeah,
which people, they'll blow up because they can't keep playing this. Because my biggest thing last year, I said we need to get people to keep the ball. So I said at this level, when you give it back in the Vanarama National League, it's hard to get it back. So I said when we get it, we have to keep it for a bit longer than we perhaps did last year. But we've come to terms with it, and we've decided. We've worked hard at training when we've trained on who we're playing and when to press and when to drop off and what to do and whatever. And the boys have took it on board, and it's been pretty good most of the time.
It's brilliant to watch, isn't it?
I could be here all night. Honestly.
Well, you're playing Coventry City next Tuesday, aren't you?
We are, yeah.
I'm going to that.
Yeah.
Come along.
tickets available?
We can ask the men, right?
Not a problem. I'd love to get you 2 tickets. £30 each. No, I'm joking. Yeah, no, of course.
I
Love to
did
see
see
you.
that draw. That was the semi-final of the Birmingham Senior Cup.
Yeah, next Tuesday.
So I really want to go because I'm a COF fan.
That's a great draw.
I think it's a perfect time to go watch Tamworth because we've got Tom Tonks. I don't know if you can be playing those guys, but we've got those guys who we've
up for selection.
We always say
we'll have a good team out no matter what. I've changed it in the Birmingham Senior Cup, but again, everyone who plays is part of could play in any league game. So
because we always say every time we do a podcast, we want to go and watch them play. So it's a good chance to go see players. So I'd love to go and watch that.
Am I right in saying that's the final at the Villa?
That's the rumour, because we started it when we first rounds, and it's like not a chore, but when you got FA Cup and you got League, it's like, do we need it? But so we sort of mixed and matched, and it's been good. And then as longer it's gone on, we're like, well, if it's at Villa Park, it'd be nice to get to a final. But obviously Coventry will be hard because they've beat us, I think, the last couple of years. Right. Although they play a mix and match, they're pretty good, to be fair. So it will be a hard game for us. But yeah, if we can get to a final, I want. Final we talk all this stuff, but once we start or whatever I do, I want to win.
Yeah.
So
that's the main thing. Isn't it? I think that's what we've got from you is that it's all about winning, enjoyment, and togetherness, and
doing things the right way. I'm usually okay after with other people and respectful as well, because obviously you lose as well. And I think for me, I like to come away with it with dignity. And I'm shouting and ball on the touchline. I have a dignity on the management. You have to, because that's part of it. But 9 times out of 10, I'll shake hands with them, the refs, and walk away. And at the end of the day, it's football. It means a lot. You want to come away with as a decent person as well. I think that's important.
Yeah, I think what I've found from Andy, just before we move on, it's very much not I, it's we.
Yeah, 100%.
Isn't it? Like Harry's talking about his staff and stuff like that. It's phenomenal.
Definitely.
Honestly.
We're going to have some quick fires, if that's all right, to finish off. Few different ones. So we always have the same ones in here. Best player you've played with. So going back to a bit of your playing days.
The best player I played with was Gary Butterworth at Diamonds.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he was class. Absolutely class.
Okay. Quite a deep one, actually, Andy. Apologies. What legacy do you wish to hope within football? To leave in football?
A bit like I've just said about the respect bit.
Yeah, the respect bit.
And, being competitive, being honest, and treating people as I wanted to be treated. Yeah. And, at the end of the day, we all want to win. Everyone wants to lose, but I think if you can walk away with dignity intact and be successful, that's good enough for me.
Do you have any pre-game rituals or superstitions?
I used to have loads over the time about what me and Shamps about what t-shirt to wear and what bottoms and what trainers. And when we went in the National League, it was like, to be fair, this is out of our hands now. Some of the teams are so good and they've got such for. No, not at the moment. No. We still do the same. That's not true. We still do the same sort of things in the team talk at the same time and different things at the same time. It's all structured. But no, I've not got anything major. I don't have to go and have a steak on a Friday night, or I don't have to go to the toilet twice before, or nothing like that. No.
Do you meet up with like your staff beforehand and maybe go for something to eat or coffee?
No, we always meet at the ground. We always meet at the ground before. Yeah, no difference. Yeah.
Just in football as a whole, not National League, but what one rule would you change within the game if you could choose one?
Which one would I change?
Yeah. So whether that's as a viewer or as a manager.
Well, the VAR does me head in, if I'm being honest. Absolutely does me head in. The one I really dislike about the offside rule is when they carry on and then when the lad runs through and clatters the keeper and then they bring it back. I think that's wrong because I think it'll cause injury. That's the one that really annoys me. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
When they let play on. Because you see collisions after and they could have stopped it before. And I think eventually someone's going to get a serious injury and you think, well, you could have stopped that a minute before or 30 seconds.
It's like they're waiting for someone to touch the ball, isn't it? Or
that's it. Yeah, just little things. And I think, well, just put your flag up. They don't put the flag up until whatever. And I'm like, well... And to be fair, when I went to Wembley last week, my youngest, to watch England... I was the first time I've actually been at a game live VAR, I think. So when you're at home on the telly and it's VAR, it shows you on the screen on your telly what's going on and on. When you go to Wembley or at a game, you've probably been. It doesn't show you it.
I agree with that.
And that gap seemed ages. Yeah. It was so long, and I think that was just for whether it was a penalty or not for England, which it wasn't, and it was a game that didn't really matter, so no one was bothered. But I think if I'm a player and I've just about to score in a playoff game or something, and then you have to wait 2 minutes to see, it just the emotion bit goes out of it.
So I had this at Coventry City Luton, the playoff final.
Yeah,
and I can definitely agree with what you're saying because it was when I think it was 1-1 and Luton went through and they scored, but it was a foul in the build-up, and we all thought, oh, that's it, they're 2-1 up, they're winning. But then VAR come up and everyone was like, oh no, it's VAR. But you didn't know in the stadium because of the atmosphere, what was going on, the delay. And it was like, all of a sudden, but it was done in a flash. Yeah. And you went, is it a goal, is it not? And it just restarted and you were like, oh, it's, okay. Like, it's really strange.
And I think as a player, I mean, not that I scored many, hardly any, but I know the buzz you get scoring a goal. But then if you have to wait and then that buzz is almost gone. I mean, the goal line technology I think is brilliant, by the way, because that is that quick and it gets it right. And that's massive. Yeah. If that makes sense, but some of the other stuff, no, I'm not having it.
Yeah, I'm with you, Andy. That the different phases before the linesman puts the flag up in those moments could be career-ending injuries or long-term.
That's the thing. That is the biggest thing for me.
Any role models? Or did you have a role model when you were growing up, or now?
If I was being honest, I was a massive fan of like Gerrard. I'm not a Liverpool fan, I don't know why. Just like I always used to say with Gerrard, I loved the way that he played the game. I loved the way he played every England game and didn't just, I'm a bit sore. He wanted to play and he played with passion. So I was always a Gerrard fan. Loved Beckham. To be fair, I'd pay money, well, maybe not pay, but to watch good footballers. I love watching good footballers now. So I'm a Leeds fan, so me and my two boys are dreading probably having to go to a playoff final, which I can't take that because they are what they are. But yeah, I love watching good players, and again, although I'm a Leeds fan, I love watching football in general. And it's about watching good players.
Yeah, for sure. A little bit off the cuff. So when you're not doing podcasts and you're at home with Mrs. Pigs on a Wednesday, any TV shows, movies, or anything that you sit back and watch?
We watch a lot of the documentary things like that. Yeah, the police things and stuff like that, or the murder things and stuff like that, the serials and stuff. Yeah, that's what we watch. I like to watch the football, obviously, but I can't. That's what we do.
Not got two tellies, one upstairs, one downstairs.
Yes, we have. But Wednesdays I have to be sitting with Sarah watching. We watch stuff like that. Informants, them sort of things, and all
police custody.
Yeah, all them, the Bay, all them sort of things. They're that sort of thing. So we usually take the dogs out. We've got two dogs. We like taking them for a walk, and we watch a bit of telly like that.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
that's what I do.
Brilliant.
Proudest moment in football to date?
To be fair, I've been spoilt as manager in the last couple of years because they're all proud moments, really. Even at Rushden, when we done success was brilliant. I remember being quite emotional at Rushden doing stuff. Because if you win a league, it's a big thing, whatever level it's at. Obviously, then going to Tamworth's been, I've had so many highs. It would be hard to say, really. Obviously, the Tottenham thing's a proud moment. But then, like I say, winning that league last year, the league before, they're all really, really proud moments. I think last year was probably, I don't know, we got promoted probably quicker than we thought. The previous year, when we won the last game of the season at Redditch, and we were watching the Colville score, we had to beat their score, if you remember it, whatever. Because they went 2 up straight away and we went 1 up, and it was like almost goal for goal. That was a proud moment because we defied all the odds. That was when we had the Neaton debacle and whatever else. It was like we'd conquered the world to get to that. So that was very proud. But obviously this year I've been proud with the boys. But, how can you not be what they've done this year? It's like, wow, game after game. Definitely. Even like Saturday, they just keep beating teams that no one gives you a chance to beat. So,
Last question, and I'm sure you've had many of these, Andy, over the years, and I have a funny feeling that this season's one might be the one, but what's your best team night out? And you can tell us a story on that if you like.
No, I wouldn't. We haven't had loads of nights out this year. No, we were too busy, to be fair. We had we always have end of season dues where everyone comes, which are always good nights. But we had a good. We went away last year to Benidorm.
Nice,
because we won the league. So most of the lads went there for. I think me and the staff went for a couple of nights. Yeah, kept ourselves to ourselves some of the times to join the lads here, which I think is the right thing to do. Have a few beers with them, then let them do their own bits and bobs. But we went for a couple of nights, and the lads had 3 or 4 nights. So that was good. To be fair, they're such a good group. Yeah. We win a game away, and it's a good coach journey home. They're all good occasions. And they are because. And I'll finish on this because when we always have singers on the coach, new players have to sing and all that, and they always have drink on the coach because I think that most of them it's Saturday's their day off. Sundays they work all week, so whether they win 1-0 or lose, it's their And Jazz come up to me, being Jazz, after we lost to Barnet on the bus. Got on the bus. Again, I got invited into their room manager's office. Come and have a beer. He said before the start. I said, yeah, I will, because I thought I will need to speak to him because he knows a lot of people. Brendan's been here a lot of while. Of course, when you lose 7, you're still going to have that beer. And I was like, I just want to get on the coach. Yeah. But I did, and it was good because he was very helpful. He's helped me a little bit since. But when I got on the coach, eventually got off. Jazz come down the front and tapped me on the shoulder. Gaffer, how do you feel about the two lads singing today? I said, what do you mean singing? I said, okay, yeah, it's fine. He goes, and what about beers? I went, mate, have beers. I said, because we can't let it affect us. 7-0. Barnet away, losing 7-0 is not going to define our season. The Wealdstons, the Maidenheads, they're the ones that are going to define us. Not anything you get at them sort, for me, is a bonus, really. And so we did it. And to be fair, the chairman and vice chairman afterwards said, you've got, I think the way you got the bus going is, I said, it has to be like that. Because if we lose that togetherness and that wanting to be in each other's company, we haven't got loads. If that makes sense. Yeah, no, that would take a lot of what we've got. Obviously, I've got players who have got some quality as well now, and they've got better and better, but the togetherness is the main thing.
Yeah. But having that long coach journey, dead silent, quiet, is the worst.
Yeah, because then people sit and think about it and like,
sit and think,
you're not going to change that. Yes, we'll look at it, and yes, on the Tuesday, I put the goals, 2 or 3 of the goals were put on the big screen and said, look how spread out we were, and look how easy they were to play through, and could we drop back in, and they took it. Yeah. But we went over it 5-10 minutes, not individuals, just as a group. And moved on from it.
Yeah, I think I can understand why your players want to play for you, Andy, and why your staff want to work for you.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. What a journey. I mean, like Rossi said, we could have gone on for hours, but we hope Tamworth fans have enjoyed that, and even Rushden fans have enjoyed that, and anyone who loves football and non-league, I hope you've enjoyed that. Obviously, that's what we're all about here, aren't we?
Yeah,
those stories.
It's good, and like I say, the Tamworth fans have bought into it, and we've had great followings away this year, and they've been, even when we've been beat at Barnet, they've clapped the boys off because they know what they're up against. And I think the bond between us and the fans is really, really good, and the crowds have got better. So it's been a win-win, and I think they know what we're trying to do. And there's going to be bumps in the road because we're playing bigger and better clubs than us. That is a fact. So it's not going to be smooth all the while. We've been lucky, as it has been more so than not. But they've bought in on it, the fans, which has been good. And it's made us all a unit, come together.
What a great journey.
Yeah. Any last words, Rossi?
It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you for joining me.
It's given me the opportunity to pick the mind of someone that I'm hoping to kind of follow in the footsteps of. So actually, Andy, appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
that's been a pleasure.
And we'll be there next Tuesday watching.
I'll see you there next Tuesday. It'll be a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you very much, Andy. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Brilliant.
Class.